What's up guys, welcome back. Zoro, drawn by a different mangaka. It looks, I'm not really sure, but maybe, at least I think it's a mangaka. Maybe the guy who draws, what's his name? You know, the science one? Or something like that. Anyway, I don't know. It just looks cool. So someone will tell me. I'm on a landscape page, pencil eraser, hit pause if I go too fast. So we're 3/4 pose, right? Just portrait of him. So it just looks cool. So I'm going to start with his closed eye, right? We're kind of over here because he's got a big shoulder, so his head isn't like in the center, it's slightly to this side, right? And then we're just going to start with this closed eye shape, so just a dash for where the tear duct part is, and then it like curves down, and it starts to curve back up. Right? It's kind of like pointy at the back. So that's just a thin line for it, but we want to thicken it up because it is dark eyelashes, right? So you just want to add some like thickness to the shape, and just make sure you leave the ends just pointy and thin and sort of sharp. That's what we're going for. So he's got a top eyelid line, kind of follows the shape for his eye, up and down a bit, back that way. Then of course we have the scar, right? So he's got the bandana in this one, but the scar will just go down lightly, sort of down here. It's like a few dots, it's a nice little touch, like as if the cut sliced him a little bit more down there. You can leave it as a single line if you want. It is often in the anime left as a single line, but in this one it's a double, right? So we'll just do this and bring it down real thin then down the bottom, so you can actually see the scar itself. So that's the closed eye, right? And it's the biggest eye that's closest to us. So we can see his eyebrow kind of like just curves like a check mark, curves and goes underneath the bandana. So it's like it's all cut off here, and they do it sort of black, right? So we'll color it in black. And kind of the bandana comes across here somewhere. And then there might be like another sort of frown, sort of light sort of frown line, a couple of them sort of just in there. He's kind of more realistic or something. So his nose then, so just here, bridge of his nose curving that way, and then it might just come out a little bit, but it's relatively straight. It might bump out a slight bit and then back down to there, just for the tip of his nose. And then we can see the dark shadow of his nostril on this side, so like just kind of a hole there. And then the skin of it might just come around it a little bit there. The other nostril, just here, a curve down. And you can thicken it up then. Just give it a bit of shadow. And then there's a little bit of a skin of his nostril there. So there's no other lines drawn, but you know, you could do like an extra sort of side of his nose there, maybe. You know, just some hatching on the bridge maybe. But that's about it. That's all you really need to do. So his other eye, the open one, just in here. So we'll go, it's right close to the nose here, diagonal that way. And you can roughly fit an eye sort of in between both these spaces. You know, an eye come over about that distance, and that's where the next one roughly will be, just if you're wondering. And then this is kind of like an unimpressed, flat sort of eye, right? kind of curves down the back there. And it's a dark enough line as well, kind of like the other one. And then this will go down and around. And then his iris, just done black, just there, kind of looking up. Like so. So his other eyebrow, it's just kind of here, goes up underneath the headband again. It's kind of like just black, kind of half an eyebrow, not even half, like a quarter of his eyebrow. And then maybe another frown line just going up that way. And then his eyelid. We'll just go across, down that way. Do do do. So the bandana, so we might as well get it in. So it's just this big curved line coming across this, right? And comes all the way down and covers some of his ear back here. That's all just black up there. So you can see like his sideburns sort of here. That long bright green, and there might be some sort of textures on it. Some hair down the bottom. Right, we'll come back over and get his mouth in. So it's just a downturned, really serious, grumpy looking mouth, right? So it's probably starting here, kind of underneath the inside of his eye there. And then it goes up. Down the middle, bumping across. And down the back. A real sort of grumpy. And then his top lip is kind of drawn in a little bit, sort of just underneath here. I think you just sort of suggested a little bit. It doesn't have to be completely drawn in. And then the bottom lip. Kind of like that. And there might be like some hatching just under there. Right, he's got a big square chin. And because his face is in 3/4, we get the jaw going up this way and then his cheek on that side. So this will go pretty straight, strong, masculine jaw. Like so. Okay, so on this side, slightly different shape. So it curves in towards the lip first. So it goes in and then starts to go out around his cheek. So it goes out like that, curves around the cheek up to the bandana. Kind of like that. Da-da-dum, dum-dum. Okay, so we can just see like his ear coming out from here. And then he has those 3 piercings, right? So say like 1, 2, just curved lines here, 3, right? And each of them goes into his ear like a ring. So his earlobe would just be here. I'm not sure how many. We'll do 1. Little circles there. And then we got some ear lines inside. So the easiest way to do ear lines is just this sort of letter J shape, like that. But if you want to add a bit more detail, you can. Do-do-do-do. Right, so each of these is an earring that's like kind of like a long raindrop. Okay, so then the bandana, so it's just black, right? But like I've drawn it a few times, so we'll bump stuff, just the sides of it. There's like a bit that sticks out here, and then we'll go up onto his face, a little bump here, coming across maybe like a little bit, but then it just goes round to the back, so it'll go like up this way. It'll curve around back here. So if you're wondering how high up to go, normally it's chin to eyes is about the same as eyes to the top of the head, especially when there's no hair. There is a bit of hair under there, so it's probably here up to there, maybe like like a tiny bit higher, because his hair is like squished. So like there and there are about the same. It might be a little bit above, but if you went the same, it would look in proportion anyway, because the eyes are usually halfway down the head. And in there is just colored black. It's not shaded or anything. It looks real severe because it's all just jet black. So he has like a little bit of hair sticking out there, and then it's just one single ribbon tied there. And then he has a cool long neck. It's characteristically one piece long neck, like it's really big. And then there's neck muscles, and maybe like a little bit of an Adam's apple sort of just there, and another sort of neck muscle line kind of just going that way. So he's got that black costume, right? So it just comes down across here, and then the other side goes down that way. So he's in 3/4, right? So this side of his body is about half the size of this one, right? 3/4 pose. So to the middle of the chest is 1/4, 2, 3 to the other shoulder, okay? So like to find your middle of your chest, these neck muscles always go to the middle of a chest, right? So it's like it'll always be there, has to be. So the chest muscles or collarbones kind of come out around that then, from there. And then you can see like his trapezius on that side, and then the collar comes down this way, and the collar goes down this way. So I'd say that just goes that way. And then his shoulder sort of bumps gradually down off the page. So he's a strong guy, right? So he has quite wide shoulders, but in general, if you measure this, come over twice pretty much, and it might like bump a few times again, and we'll go where we go, like what looks correct. That doesn't look too bad, right? So roughly like so. Yeah, it's a cool style, Zoro. It's kind of realistic, but not. Oh yeah, finish this. Sorry, finish the eyebrow up into the bandana. Hope it was helpful. Cool character, Zoro. See you in the next one. Bye.